Here we go. We're live. It's episode 6 of Plays and Parlays. I'm Joe Serralo, and of course, joining me as always, it's my co-host Jarrett Bailey, who is now in the Plays and Parlays standings in first place. Jarrett, congrats.
It's been a good couple weeks for me against the spread, so hopefully we can continue that today and over the weekend. So yeah, it's been the spread's been kind to me over the past 2 Sundays, so I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, you're coming off a 4-1-1 week. You're now 16-12-2 on the season. I'm coming off a 2-3-1 week. Of course, that push for both of us was the Green Bay Packers -3. That puts me at 16-13-1 on the season. So we got the same amount of wins. You've got one less loss, but it actually was a profitable week for me as I put the most money on my extra point, my underdog of the week, the Bills money line. And that one cashed in. I know that was a pick that you hated. You were on the Chiefs -2.5.
I was,
but
and I was very wrong. I didn't expect that to happen whatsoever. But yeah, Buffalo looks phenomenal right now.
Well, Jarrett, you're gonna have to bear with me in this one. I know I'm usually a really high energy co-host. I was up until about 2 a.m, and of course, usually we do this show Wednesday nights, not Saturday mornings. But watching that Mountain West football after dark, San Diego State, they were -10, had them in a teaser -4. They went to double overtime, and they won by 6. So that teaser is alive. Let's see if Michigan State +1.5 can carry out the second leg of that teaser this afternoon.
Exactly.
And let's get into my first pick. It's Michigan State straight -4.5. I love Sparty. Now, as a Penn State fan, I hate Sparty, but in this game against Indiana, I absolutely love them. Kenneth Walker is one of the best players in college football this year. I'd say hands down the best running back in the land. He leads the nation in yards. Leads the nation in yards per carry as well for all running backs with at least 100 attempts. And look, while Michigan State is just 4-2 against the spread on the season, away from home, they are 3-0 against the number. Indiana, who came in with some high hopes. It was an anticipated week 1 matchup, Indiana and Iowa. Iowa blew them out. Now they're ranked 2nd in the country. Indiana has faded since then. The Hoosiers are just 1-4 against that number. I'm going to go with Michigan State -4.5 in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be a ginormous college football connoisseur, but Michigan State is having one of their best seasons over the past 5-6 years. It seems that Sparty is starting to get back into that national conversation. Indiana started off the season ranked and then kind of fell off pretty quickly. So, yeah, it is in Indiana, so I expect that's why the number is at 4.5. If it was in Michigan State in East Lansing, I'd assume that number would be a little bit higher. But, yeah, it feels I do like the bet of Michigan State. Let me get into my first one. Going with an underdog right away. The Jaguars +3 against the Miami Dolphins in London Sunday. Now, Tua Tagovailoa is expected to play. That doesn't affect how I feel about this whatsoever. Look, Miami's just a tire fire right now. Jacksonville is also a tire fire. So I don't know why we keep sending such horrid football overseas for our friends in England to see. But my goodness, Jacksonville, yes, the record is not good. The Dolphins' record is not good either. I think offensively, Jacksonville is the far better team. Defensively, outside of the secondary, Miami doesn't really scare me whatsoever. By the way, I am glowing right now. I look like I'm in Nazareth. This lighting is just
I was going to say, you got like a little Twilight thing going on. You look like a vampire. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's just, I need to get a new location set up away from this window. But anyway, yeah, the Jaguars +3 feels good. They've been in multiple games this year that they probably should have won. They hung around with Arizona. They probably should have beaten Cincinnati. So Jacksonville's record, I think it makes them look worse than what they are. I think they're a better overall team than the Dolphins, and I think they get the job done. Not just +3. We'll get back to this game in a little bit possibly, but Jaguars +3 in Miami. I did bet that money line outright as well separately, but we'll go with the +3 for now.
You know, I just can't ever bet on a Jaguar team as long as Urban Meyer is the head coach. This was a team that I thought against Tennessee last week should have had some fight, should have kept it close. You had the Titans without all of their receivers. I mean, Julio was out. A.J. Brown was a shell of himself. And the Jaguars just couldn't compete. They just couldn't hang in there. So I really, really struggle to have any faith in them. Look, are they the better team? Yeah, I think that they're more talented than Miami. But when it comes down to coaching, I'll take Brian Flores over Urban Meyer any day.
Yeah, this is a guy who also bet on the Jets money line last week in London, and that bit me in the butt. So betting on the Jets and Jaguars in back-to-back weeks. So we'll see how that plays out.
Can't believe I'm hearing those words. Let's get to my second pick. I'm sticking with one more college football pick. With the beginning of bye weeks in the NFL, I'm playing college games. Sorry for the disruption. That's a little dog I have in the background. But I'm going with a battle of the Manning brothers in this one. Ole Miss Tennessee, and what Giants fan would I be if I didn't go with Ole Miss in this one? I mean, do you see wrong shoulder? Do you see the Eli Manning jersey behind me? I'm going to take the Rebels -3. It might be -2.5, so take that value while you can. Look, I think this game is going to be an absolute shootout, right? We could be looking at a 48-42 contest here, but at the end of the day, Ole Miss's lone loss has come against Alabama. I think that's pretty acceptable. Last week, they were in a shootout with Arkansas. Of course, came down to that 2-point conversion. Lane Kiffin showing some humongous balls at the end, not kicking the PAT, deciding he's going to win or lose it right there in regulation. Ole Miss is a juggernaut. Matt Corral, I talked about Kenneth Walker with Michigan State. Matt Corral should be the Heisman favorite right now with Kenneth Walker not too far behind him. And Tennessee, even though they've got a great offense as well, don't turn the ball over much. That's really impressive, really hard to do when you're playing SEC defenses. One thing that alarms me is some of their losses. For example, a 41-34 home loss against Pitt. I mean, I know Pitt is a 5-point favorite today in Blacksburg against Virginia Tech. Not really a line that I agree with. I love VTech in that one, but to lose to Pitt at home when you're an SEC team, unacceptable. I think Ole Miss is going to go into Tennessee tonight and win that one on ESPN.
Matt Corral's been playing phenomenal. Ole Miss has shown that they maybe belong in the Big 12 with all the points they're putting up right now. So the shootouts that they've been in this season, aside from the Alabama game, they've looked fantastic. So we'll see how that one plays out. Down in Tennessee, let's get into my second pick. I'm going to go with Green Bay -5. I did buy down from, I think the line is now up to 6.5. It was 6 when I bought down for this. So the line it started off at 4.5. So Vegas really likes Green Bay this week. And so do I. I think that offensively for the Bears, like Justin Fields obviously gives them a better chance to win, but it's not as if he's lit the world on fire. Yes, they beat Vegas last week, but offensively for both sides, it was just not a good game. So Green Bay coming off kind of a little bit of a slow week against the Bengals. They obviously get the job done in overtime, but Aaron Rodgers going up against, a solid Bears defense, but he's owned the Bears in the past 25 matchups, 20-5 all time against the Bears. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I think that continues this weekend going up against a rookie in Justin Fields. The Packers win and cover. Again, bought down from this. I still would feel pretty okay betting this at 6.5, but getting it at -5, solid number. So I'll take Green Bay -5.
Well, look, let's get into my third pick, Jarrett, because I don't want to spend too much time on this game since you just provided your analysis to it, and a lot of mine is similar to yours. I bet this game when it was Green Bay -4.5 on Wednesday on our scheduled usual day to do the show. I saw most recently that it's up to 6. Even if it's 6.5, I think Green Bay will win and cover. But at 4.5, I love the Packers. You mentioned Aaron Rodgers, 20-5 against the Bears all time. In his last 22 against Chicago, 17-5 against the spread. Aaron Rodgers, if the Bears move on from Soldier Field, should be the sole reason that happens. Aaron Rodgers can be responsible for shutting down Soldier Field. He has had more success there than any visiting quarterback in the history of football. I don't see the Bears keeping up. I mean, the reason that line has probably inflated so much is because if you look at the injury report, Allen Robinson listed as questionable, Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, all listed as questionable. I think all three are going to be good to go in this one, but even so, that 6 to 7 point line is a little trickier, but I think at 4.5, Green Bay is a safe bet to cover. They're probably going to win this one about 24-17, maybe even 27-14 or something like that. So -6 could easily hit. I think -4 is your guarantee.
There we go. All right, let me get into my third pick here. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys -3.5 on the road in New England. I hopped on this one as soon as I saw it. This one just feels like Dallas should owe New England. Like the Patriots are the most boring team in the NFL. Offensively, at least. Like defensively, yes, Matt Judon has been a good signing. Josh Uche, their pass rush has been okay. But offensively, man, they are the most boring team in the NFL to watch. There's nothing exciting about them in terms of what they do with Mac Jones in the passing game. It should be a track meet for Dallas, and I don't think that Mac Jones and company is going to be able to keep up. So Dallas -3.5. But Ezekiel Elliott, back-to-back weeks of 100 yards rushing. Dak Prescott looks really good. All the weapons that he has at his disposal are playing well. So Dallas on the road in New England -3.5 feels like a gift, but I will take free money when I can get it. So Cowboys -3.5.
It's another one of my picks. I'll get into that one in a bit, though. My fourth pick this week, it's the LA Chargers +3 at the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is the best game of the week. This is a game that should have been flexed into Sunday Night Football, not your Steelers and Seahawks. That's going to be a snooze fest at Heinz Field, especially with Geno Smith playing quarterback for Seattle. I can't wait to see Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson square off on Sunday afternoon. Two MVP hopefuls. On one hand, you've got Baltimore riding the momentum of that incredible 22-3 comeback on Monday Night Football, beating the Colts 31-25, covering my teaser, had the Ravens -1.5. Look, I'm on a teaser heater. I hope that translates to the show when we get to our teasers in just a bit. But I think the Chargers are going to keep this one close if they don't win it outright. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games against the spread on the road. They're 8-1 in their last 9 against the number, period. The Chargers have been, over the past 5 years, one of the worst teams against the spread. All of a sudden, the last probably 16 games or so, one of the best teams in the NFL against the number. So I think the Chargers keep this one close, at least within a field goal, if they don't win it outright.
Yeah, this is one that I didn't touch simply because Justin Herbert's playing fantastic. That Charger offense should be able to put up some points. Defensively, though, Chargers worst in the NFL against the run this season. So that is something that Lamar Jackson and company could take advantage of. So I do think that Justin Herbert kind of has his way with Baltimore's defense. They're kind of depleted right now, especially in the secondary. So I do think it'll be somewhat of a shootout. But I do like we lost Joe, but I do like the Los Angeles Chargers. I think that they're going to put up points. I think that they're going to keep it close. It's one that I didn't bet on simply because I just don't. It's going to come down to the Chargers' run defense to me. And if Lamar Jackson has his way with them, it's going to be a little bit difficult to see how the Chargers are going to keep up. Here's Joe.
Did my Wi-Fi just totally cut out on me there?
It must have, because I was the only one on screen for a hot minute.
Sorry about that, but I did hear you say that you thought this game was too close to touch.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers have the worst run defense in the NFL, so I think that's something that the Ravens could take advantage of. I do think that if the Chargers do win it, it'll be a high-scoring affair simply because they have the offensive arsenal to do it. It'll depend on how much they can slow down the run game for Baltimore. If they can do that, then I like their chances.
Totally agree.
All right, let me get into my fourth pick. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions plus 3.5 against the Bengals. Now, this isn't a knock against the Bengals. I think that the Bengals are going to be playing meaningful football until the very end. I just think that the Detroit Lions, despite not having a win, you can make the argument they should have at least 2 wins. It came down to a last-second 66-yard field goal against Baltimore. Came down to a 54-yard field goal against the Vikings. So they are playing like 3.5 quarters of complete football and then letting it go. I think right now, this just feels like the time to get their first win. They're playing they quietly have a really good pass rush right now, which is something I didn't expect to say about the Lions this year. So they're playing solid football. They got 53 guys that are busting their ass every Sunday. I think that it pays off finally this Sunday. We're going to get into this game for my extra point. A little bit of a spoiler, but Detroit Lions plus 3.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are going to be fine. This will be a little bit of a skid for them. They'll get to 3-3. I think, like I said, they're still going to be playing meaningful football down the stretch. Love what Joe Burrow and everybody's doing. Had Ken Anderson on the show yesterday, so can't crap on the Bengals too much. I do like the Bengals this year, but yes, Detroit plus 3.5.
Now, I'm going to fade you heavy here with my fifth pick, Jarrett.
Yes,
I'm going to go with the Bengals minus 3.5. The second that I found out Joe Burrow was healthy, that he was out of the hospital, that he was going to play in this one, I hopped on the Bengals immediately. They've got the offensive rookie of the year favorite in Jamar Chase, the stud wideout, Burrow's favorite target when they were back at LSU together, that 15-0 magical national championship season. Do you know how hard it is for a non-quarterback to win offensive rookie of the year? I mean, Justin Jefferson had an incredible season, another LSU wideout from that national championship team a year ago, and he couldn't win the award because Justin Herbert, of course, was lights out for the Chargers, even though the Vikings had a more successful season than the Chargers. Jamar Chase currently at plus 275, the favorite, and even though it's not the best value for a rookie of the year prop, I still love that pick at plus 275 because I don't see any of these quarterbacks winning the award. The Lions, I wanted to take them. Everything you said about them playing about 3 quarters of really good football was correct. They played a great opening half against Green Bay week 2 on Monday night. Played a great second half week 1 against the Niners. Played a great second half against the Ravens, a game they should have won. But they can't put together a full 4 quarters. We both loved the Lions against the Chicago Bears. We picked them to win outright. Yep. And Dan Campbell, who has this team playing inspired, I'll give him that, did not manage that game well. Going for it, leaving, 6 points, or was it even 9 points in field goals?
Think they had a minimum of 2 drives where they got into the red zone and didn't come away with points that game.
Yeah, he left field goals on the board. So I have no faith in Detroit. The Lions, to me, are just a team that even though they've covered, I believe, 2 out of their 5, maybe 3 out of their 5, depending on different books and different lines, because that Niners-Lions game I've seen go both ways because the line deviated so much. I just still can't bet them with such a close line against what I think is a great Bengals team. So give me the Bengals minus 3.5.
All right, let me get into my 5th pick. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns minus 2.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. The line did go up for Cleveland, I believe. I can't remember what it's at right now.
3.5 right now.
3.5, that's what I thought. So, look, I've gotten screwed on field goals a few times this year, Joe. I'm not letting it happen again. So I'm going to take it down to 2.5 in case of a late tie game situation where something could happen. So, look, Cleveland, to me, I came into this year saying that top to bottom, they have the best roster in the NFL, and I still believe that. They're not going to have Nick Chubb this Sunday, so that's going to be a big knock against their offense, but Kareem Hunt's still fantastic. We know that their offensive line is good, so I think their run game will still be okay. It's just a matter of can they slow down what the Cardinals are going to do offensively, because Kyler Murray's been fantastic, and he's spreading out his targets, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins one week, A.J. Green, Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk. Like, they've got guys all over that offense. So this is where Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney need to get disruptive with the pass rush, help out their secondary, and Baker Mayfield's got to make some throws. This is a year where Cleveland's got to decide, okay, we're going to pick up a 5th-year option. Are we going to extend him? If Baker Mayfield wants to get an extension, this is a perfect game to show that he deserves it, because right now he hasn't looked like that he does. So Cleveland minus 2.5. Arizona's going to lose eventually. This is a good Cleveland team. They're on the road, so I'm going to take the Browns to give them their first loss in the year.
Yeah, and this is going to be a great game. Probably my second most anticipated game of the week behind the Chargers-Ravens, and I'll get more on this in a little bit. But my 6th pick, Jarrett, it's a pick that you had. It's the Dallas Cowboys minus 3 at New England. I actually showed really good self-control on this one. Didn't jump on 3.5 immediately, even though I thought it would actually get worse. I thought for me it would be Dallas minus 4, minus 4.5. I stuck with it. I waited, got it at minus 3. The Dallas Cowboys are going to have a field day in Foxborough. I mean, you had the Patriots, who a couple of weeks ago on Sunday night almost beat Tom Brady in his homecoming. And then last week, they go to Houston, and they let Davis Mills, who has looked awful so far throughout his NFL career, look like Tom Brady for the Houston Texans. I mean, the Patriots, like you said, are one of the most boring teams in football. I think that they are one of the most inconsistent teams in football. I'm not buying the Mac Jones hype. Sorry. Just can't do it. I gave in a little bit, admitted he looked amazing against Tampa Bay. He looked better than Brady, and then he stunk against Houston. Dallas is going to have a field day. By the way, the Cowboys, the only 5-0 team against the spread in football this year. They were the worst team in football against the spread last year, 5-11. So Dallas, if they cover in this one, is going to have more covers throughout week 6 this season than they did all of last year. Take it to the bank. Cowboys minus 3.
That's the Dak Prescott effect on the Dallas Cowboys. Let me get into my 6th and final pick. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams minus 7 against the New York Giants. The line's at 8 right now. I bought it down to a touchdown. The Rams, by all means, should win this game somewhat handedly, especially with the injuries that the Giants have right now. We saw Saquon Barkley go down. It appears that Daniel Jones is going to play.
He's playing, but Barkley and Galladay are out.
So, I mean, those are 2 big losses on the offensive side of the ball that plays right into the hand of what the Rams can do defensively. The Rams are also phenomenal offensively. We know how good Matthew Stafford has been. Cooper Kupp has been really good. Robert Woods. So I love everything that the Rams are doing right now. I think they're going to continue to try to make waves and chase that number 1 seed in the NFC as they keep chasing their division rival Arizona Cardinals for that. So it's going to come down to Arizona, the Rams, and the Buccaneers so you can get that number 1 seed. I came into the year saying the Rams would get it. I'm going to stick with that. Rams minus 7 on the road, that cross-country trip to the New York Giants this Sunday. So Rams minus 7.
And let's stick with the NFC West for my extra point, because my extra point is fading you. It's the Arizona Cardinals money line in Cleveland. And I know you see plus 135 on your screen. That is actually plus 155 to take the Cardinals to win outright in the dog pound. Look, Cliff Kingsbury is going to miss the game because he's on the COVID list. No Cliff, no problem. Chandler Jones, the Cardinals' best defender, is doubtful in this one because he was a close contact. No Chandler Jones, no problem, because the Cleveland Browns are not stopping Kyler Murray. They're not stopping DeAndre Hopkins. They're not stopping Rondale Moore. Shit, I'd like to see Zach Ertz playing this one after playing on Thursday Night Football with the Eagles and getting traded in between. Wow, nothing's going my way today. I've got my Wi-Fi going out first and then my tripod falling. I didn't even move. I don't know how that happened. But I love the Cardinals in this one. Even though they're facing some adversity, I think they are just so much better than the Cleveland Browns, who on offense have been one of the most inconsistent teams in football. Even if you look at the Browns game last week against the Chargers, played an incredible 3 quarters. All of a sudden in the fourth, not even in the fourth, in like the final 3 minutes, they fell apart. I just can't bet on Baker when you've got a better Oklahoma alum, a better Heisman winner, a better number 1 overall draft pick on the other sideline in Kyler Murray. I love the Cardinals in this one. Look, Dallas might be the lone 5-0 team against the spread in the NFL. The Cardinals are the lone 5-0 team, period. And that's why I'm taking a money line here. Forget the number.
And again, plus 155, that's just a graphic that Jarrett forgot to edit. So whoops-a-daisy. All right, so let me get into my extra point. I touched on it earlier. I'm going to take the Lions money line. What the hell? Why not? Eventually, they're going to win. This feels like the week that they're going to do it. Dan Campbell and this team, another emotional loss. I think they're going to build off that. They're going to unite around each other. And in the battle of the king of the jungles between the Lions and Bengals, I think that the Lions will get the first win of the year. Dan Campbell gets his first win as head coach. So Lions money line plus 152 against Cincinnati.
This week, we've got Lions and Bengals and Bears. Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Let's get into the teasers. My teaser, it's a 4-teamer. And look, I will say this week, I absolutely love the teaser schedule. Already hit the Tampa Bay Bucks -1. If I took a -7, it would not have hit. Jarrett and I actually provided the commentary for that game on the Colorcast app.
Oh, there goes your tripod again.
Night. What the hell is going on here, man?
I don't know. Do you have a ghost?
I might. I know you love horror movies. I mean, at this point, this is why we can't do the show on Saturday morning. It's got to be a Wednesday night thing because everything's going to shit right now for me. But there are a lot of games that I love to tease this weekend. I already had the Bucks -1. I love the Rams now that the injury report came out. Jones is going to play, and that made the line come down a little bit. Love the Rams -2.5 down from 8.5. But my 4-teamer right here, it's the Chiefs -1. It's the Chargers +9. That's going to be a 1-score game no matter who wins. It's the Cardinals +9. That's going to be probably a single-digit game no matter who wins. And it's the Buffalo Bills, probably the easiest pick on this slate, to go to Tennessee and manhandle the Titans. Tennessee has no defense, and the Bills have a great defense, and I'm assuming that they'll be able to somewhat neutralize Derrick Henry. Even if he has 2 touchdowns, Buffalo's going to win this one like 31-23. So Bills pick them with the rest of the slate, tease it +300, and thank me later.
I hope that Buffalo goes in and absolutely manhandles them after that COVID thing that happened last year with Tennessee. Yeah. I'm still angry at Taylor Lewan for that. That was the most annoying thing ever. So let me get into my teaser. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos +1.5 against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's been a catastrophic week for Vegas, and that's well documented. I think this is going to kind of torpedo their year. Dallas +2.5 against the New England Patriots. That's a game that they should win, so +2.5 feels good. The Rams -2. If I liked them at -7, I'm going to love them at 2. And then KC practically in a pick 'em here against the Washington Football Team. No Curtis Samuel for the Washington Football Team. Terry McLaurin also questionable. If they don't have Terry McLaurin along with Samuel, that's just that they don't have an offense right now. Plus, Antonio Gibson's been dealing with some injuries, so Kansas City needs to win. If they go to 2-4, like what are we? I understand that they have Patrick Mahomes, but 2-4 is 2-4. Like they've got to eventually start winning. So Kansas City -1 against Washington +240 to round it out.
Yeah, this is Kansas City's best chance. You know, this is a losable game this week for the Chargers, a very winnable game for the Chiefs. They can get within a game of the division if they beat Washington and get some help from Lamar and company over in Baltimore. Even if they don't, they'll be 2 back still, and they'll be at 500. So, yeah, this is, I would say, a must-win for Kansas City because if the Chargers play Road Warrior, you know, they've covered 7 of their last 10 road games. They play Road Warrior in this one and improve to 5-1, and the Chiefs drop to 2-4. You can pretty much call that division on lock.
It's hard to say on lock just because of Mahomes, but defensively for the Chiefs, they need to do something. Right now, they're not giving any sort of resistance to opposing offenses.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into my parlay of the week. Now, I've got a 6-teamer. I've eliminated spreads this week going back to money line, so it's a 6-teamer plus 1380, and it includes 1 college game to start, going Michigan State money line. I just don't see any way Indiana really competes, especially beats Sparty. That game kicks off in about an hour and a half. I got the Packers money line. This is also a great teaser game now that the line is up to 6.5. If you don't want to play it straight, if that's too big of a number for you, tease the Packers down to a pick 'em. I've got the Chiefs money line, the Cardinals money line. That's the inflation right here. The Cardinals plus 155 really adds to this. Cowboys money line does not hurt this as much as it should. That line, I don't understand how it's so close. And then, of course, the Buffalo Bills money line. The Cardinals being on the road, without their head coach and their best defensive player, maybe that's a tough one, but I don't see the other 5 missing.
All right, let me get into my parlay. Nothing crazy this week, just plus 508 and a 4-teamer. I'm going to take the Colts minus 5.5 against Houston, Green Bay minus 4.5 against the Chicago Bears, Chiefs money line, Dallas Cowboys money line plus 508. Just a simple 4-team parlay to take to the bank for you. So again, bye week starting this week. There's going to be a few less lines that each of us like, and so hence the less inflated parlay for me. I know that I've been kind of the patron saint of ginormous parlays, so a little bit of a more simple one this week.
Well, let's get into our survivor pick of the week. Now, Jarrett, I may have done something wrong here.
Okay.
I will admit, I believe on this show, I took the Bengals a couple weeks ago against Jacksonville.
Oh, you might have, yeah.
So here's what happened that week, right? I took the Bengals on the show, and then when I went to enter it in to my ESPN fantasy game survivor pick'em pool, it was Friday, and that game was no longer available. So what I did that week was I took the Bengals on the show, and I took the Chiefs on ESPN against the Eagles. So what I'm doing this week, I'm actually going to double dip just to make sure that no one calls me out on doing anything sketchy. And so in case you don't trust my Bengals pick, I'm also taking the Chiefs at Washington. So for the purpose of the show, I think I already took Cincinnati. Online, I didn't. So online this week, I'm taking Cincinnati. And on the show, I'm going to change this and take the Chiefs at the Washington football team. So double dipping, I need 2 teams to win for my survivor this week.
There we go. I think that's an acceptable agreement to get to. I'm going to take
Got to maintain credibility.
Exactly. I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts over the Houston Texans. I'm pretty sure I haven't taken the Colts yet. I should have probably visited that sheet too, but I'm 90% certain I haven't touched the Colts yet. So yeah, any team that's going to play Houston, I'm more than likely going to take them. The Colts are starting to get into an easier stretch of games after that brutal first 5 that they've had. So this is where they can start to put together a few wins, try to get back in the AFC South race. I still think they're the best overall team in that division. Tennessee, you already said it, doesn't have a defense. And they let one slip away against Baltimore, and that's unacceptable. So I think they get back on track, get to 2-4, and try to claw their way back into things against Houston.
Anything's possible. The AFC South, by far, the worst division. I don't want to hear anything about my NFC East. The AFC South is the worst division in football.
Very bad.
The Colts are still alive. Jarrett, you want to take us home?
All right. You can find me on Twitter at JBaileyNFL, Fansided, Pittsburgh Sports Now. Again, the horror podcast is up. You can go check that out. Halloween Kills came out last night. We'll be recapping that here within the next week or two. So check that out. The Devil's Eyes, you can watch it on YouTube. Laces Out pod just aired yesterday with Bengals legendary quarterback Ken Anderson, talking a little bit about Joe Burrow, young quarterbacks, Tom Brady's dominance. So you can check that out as well. Joe, where can they find you on Twitter?
Find me on Twitter at @TheJoeSoralo. Actually just started working with Colorcast. It's a great app that gives you the opportunity to provide audio commentary to live games as they're happening. Jarrett was my co-host this week. We did Thursday Night Football. And Jarrett, we'll be hearing back Tuesday as to whether or not we start getting paid for that commentary. It was a great audition, great debut Thursday night. Got a lot of really good feedback, and I've got a conference call with their board on Tuesday that I'm sure I'll be relaying some good information to you right after that call happens. And find me on Instagram at Joe Soralo, because my face is a lot better than a lot of my takes. So my Instagram page is more successful than my Twitter for that reason.
I can't say the same, so follow me on Twitter.
Jarrett, great show. Sorry I've got shitty Wi-Fi and an even shittier tripod. But, guys, we'll see you next week. Back to Wednesday, Jarrett?
Back to Wednesday, everybody.
We'll see you in 4 days.